Tailgating is when the vehicle behind is following too closely to the vehicle in front. This causes stress to the driver of that vehicle in front because if they have to brake hard, they know that the vehicle behind is most likely going to hit them, causing damage, possible injury, or even preventing them from stopping in time for whatever's happened ahead. So how do you deal with it? Here are two bad ways to deal with tailgaters, methods that are unlikely to work and are probably just going to make the situation worse. One is to try and speed up. I see nervous drivers do this and learner drivers do this. They see the car behind and they take that as an instruction to go faster. They try to escape the vehicle that's following closely behind. But all that happens is the vehicle keeps up, continues to tailgate, but now the driver in front is going faster than what they truly feel is safe, meaning they're more likely going to slip up and have to brake hard for what's ahead. And the fact that their speed is higher means there's even a greater chance of having to brake hard just from that. And the vehicle behind is still close, so the collision is probably going to be worse if it happens. Another way is to try and tell the vehicle behind to back off, pointing at the wing mirror, hand signals out the window. A common one is to brake check them. Brake checking is when you give a short, sharp, hard press of the brake to startle the vehicle behind. The intention isn't likely to annoy them. It's to try and warn them. Look, you got scared there. I braked hard for a very short period of time and you were worried. You're following too close. Let that be a warning. Back off. Doesn't work though, because the person who's tailgating may not even realize they're doing it and they just think you're being unsafe. But also, people don't like being told what to do by strangers. And the chances are the person behind tailgating you is a stranger and you're telling them how to drive. Humans just don't seem to like being told what to do by people they don't know. This leads to agitation, which means if anything's going to happen, they may even start to drive less safely, may even overtake you in a dangerous manner, or maybe next time you stop, possibly, they may even attack you. So what can you do? When I want to try and figure out a solution to a problem, I find trying to figure out the cause of that problem leads me to the solution. So why is it people tailgate? Now there's many reasons. I'm sure there's more than I'm going to mention here, but here are a few. The driver of the vehicle behind doesn't realise the danger of driving too closely. Every time they've had to stop, they have made it. They've not driven into the back of a vehicle yet. Even if it's meant they need to use 100% of their car's braking capability. What they don't understand though is that if they're using 100% of their brakes, the vehicle in front is using less than 100% of its brakes if they're following too closely, because when you're following too closely, you have to brake harder than the car in front because you're close to them and they have a head start in slowing down. And that actually causes traffic, because if the car in front brakes and the next car has to brake harder and the next car has to brake harder and the next car after that has to brake harder, eventually you get to a standstill, even though nothing's happened. No roundabout, no traffic lights, it's just busy. That's all. If you follow at a safe distance, you can actually brake less hard than the car in front if you wish, if you're following far enough back. And following at a safe distance can help with traffic flow, because when cars aren't having to over brake and slow down more than they need to, you keep the speed higher. The minimum speed stays higher. And that means you get more traffic flow through the same stretch of road over the same period of time than if the cars are closer together and as a result going more slowly. So keeping your distance doesn't only help with safety, it helps with speed and the capacity of that road. Another reason why some people tailgate is progress. They're in a rush and any movement further up the road satisfies their prime objective of progress. Let's get there as soon as I can, even if it's temporary. They're following the car in front closer, but when they get to the traffic lights or the roundabout, they end up stopping behind the car anyway. Sometimes, yes, they may make a set of lights that they wouldn't have made, so it can help, but not always. Another reason is confidence. Some people don't have the confidence to drive at a speed that they feel is safe and comfortable. They feel like they've got to keep up, stay close to the vehicle in front, or they may get abuse from vehicles behind for not keeping up with the flow. Maybe that's tribal. Maybe it's a case of don't get left behind. Another reason I get given, and I say I get given the reason because I am a driving instructor. If you've not watched my previous videos, that's what I do. And I've sat with hundreds of people, license holders and learners, and I ask them why they do things, because when I understand my pupil, that's when I can help them. And one of the reasons I get, particularly on multi-lane roads, why are you following so closely? Well, it's because I don't want someone to move in front of me. I don't want them to change lane and take this space I have. They feel like that anyone who changes lane and goes in front of them is actually jumping the queue. But we all need to change lane. That's part of driving. If you prevent other road users from changing lane, you are making the roads worse, not better. You're causing more problems, more traffic. Another more sinister reason, this is quite sinister, but there's an even more sinister reason I'll tell you in a moment. And that is because the driver of the vehicle behind wants to pressure the vehicle in front to go faster, and following closely puts them under pressure to speed up, and sometimes it works. But the even more sinister one, and this is one that I don't see very often, very rare, is that the driver of the vehicle behind gets pleasure. They get enjoyment from making others around them feel uncomfortable. This is quite clear to me when this is happening. So following closely makes them feel good because they're making that vehicle feel under pressure. And my clue that this is happening is that they won't only do that, but in other areas of their driving, they drive in just a slightly intimidating way, just to intimidate other road users and make them feel uneasy. It's very rare. Most people don't want to make other people feel uneasy. But every so often I meet someone who does. Understanding some of the reasons why people tailgate may have led you to a similar conclusion that I was led to. And that is, I can't stop people from tailgating me. It's only a tiny percentage of drivers, but that's a huge number of people. And there's so many different reasons why they're doing it. Me trying to put my effort into getting them to back off is going to be wasted and probably end in disaster, because even if I did teach one person a lesson, what about all the others? It's just going to keep happening. My effort, and what I suggest your effort, is better being placed into making that unsafe situation of being tailgated safe. And here's how I do it. No one is actually tailgating me at the moment, and the reality is not many people do. So for me to drive around and try and find someone who's tailgating me, that's going to take a long time. Let's just pretend I am being tailgated right now. What do? Well, I slow down earlier to make sure the vehicle behind doesn't have to brake hard. I'm turning left into this road. I can't see into this road, so I'm very slow, so that if I need to stop, I'm not going to have to brake sharply. There's a parked car here. I'm braking already, clutch down, getting a bit slower, so that if someone was coming, I could stop like this, nice and gently, without harsh braking. Obviously there's no one coming. I was just giving an example if somebody was coming. Make sure you drive in a way where there's no chance you're going to have to brake hard. Okay, you're never going to make it no chance, but reduce that chance to as little as you possibly can. Slow down early for hazards and junctions, and don't watch your mirror, because if you're watching your mirror and watching the vehicle behind that is following too closely, you're not helping the situation. You already know they're there. You know they're following closely. Watching them just means you're taking your eye off the road, meaning that you're more likely going to have to brake suddenly. So I'm pretending someone's tailgating me. There's a parked car on the left here, just on this bend, partially on the pavement, partially on the road. I'm slowing down gently, prepared to stop if I need to without having to brake hard. As I get here, I realise, yeah, there's enough room for me to squeeze through at a low speed because I am close to the parked car and the oncoming car. And also I'm ready for the lollipop person on the left there and the mini roundabout. Again, I'm slowing down early so that I don't have to brake sharply. Yes, you should be doing this anyway, but if somebody's driving behind you, and they're driving behind you very closely, they're tailgating you, you need to take this a bit further and make sure you're braking even more gently than you usually do. Looks like the blue car on the right is leaving the road clear for me, so I can carry on. Thank you. So here's another example. I'm approaching a roundabout. I'm going to turn right, take the third exit towards all other routes. And I'm slowing down enough that if I need to stop by that line, I can do so gently. I don't need to stop now, so I'll carry on. I'm not actually being tailgated, but let's just pretend I am. What about pedestrians? Well, if you're worried a pedestrian is about to cross the road in front of you, slow down enough so that if they do, you don't have to slam on the brakes. Try not to slow down so much though that it looks like you're actively encouraging them to cross the road. Look like you're going, but be slow enough that if you do need to stop, you can do so easily. So there's an oncoming car. I'm slowing down nice and early in case I've got nowhere to wait, and they don't, so I'm waiting back here. All they do, so I'll carry on then. Didn't see that little space there. I was letting them finish anyway, but if they want to wait, they are welcome to do so. But I was slowing down early so I didn't have to brake suddenly. Same here. I don't know who's coming up this hill and who needs to finish, so I'm approaching it slowly. Now I can see no one's coming up and needs to finish. I can continue, and I can see spaces on the right where oncoming cars can wait, so I can slow down and help them into those spaces, and then I can speed up once they're out of the way. Slowing down towards this bend, just in case there's something around this bend. You're doing all this all the time anyway, but if you're being tailgated, you just slow down earlier and a bit more. I have a traffic calming measure coming up. It's essentially an obstruction in my half of the road, making me use the other half of the road on this bend, and I can't see very far, so I'm nice and slow, ready to stop, still can't see far, and there you go, the red car's coming, and I'm slow, so I could stop gently. If I was faster than that, I may have had to stop more firmly. If you're being tailgated, that's not good. This is actually designed so I have to get to the give way line before I can see if anyone's coming. And it's put there because there's a big long straight and two schools either side here near this zebra crossing, so lots of school kids about. People go flying down the straight, and they're basically putting that there to force you to be slow. It's annoying that we have to have it, but that's the solution to people speeding on that road and going fast round that bend into where kids are crossing the road. And you see, going round that bend, I was nice and slow, so when I needed to stop, I didn't have to brake hard, I could brake gently. When approaching a zebra crossing, slow down until you're sure it's clear. When it's busy, oncoming cars block your view of the crossing, as they are here. So until you know both sides of the crossing are clear, you should be slowing down at a rate where if you did need to stop, you wouldn't have to brake firmly. Traffic lights. Amber lasts 3 seconds regardless of the speed limit, which I think is silly. And amber means stop, unless doing so could cause a collision. So if you're on a 50 mile per hour road and you have a green light, I recommend slowing down a bit as you approach that green light if you're being tailgated, because amber lasts 3 seconds and that's not long to stop. You're going to be braking very hard. So if you slow down, that will mean you need to brake less hard, albeit still quite hard. I do think that amber should last longer for the higher speed limit roads. So amber lasts 3 seconds regardless of the speed limit, then you get red. Red and amber together is followed by green. Red and amber lasts 1.5 seconds, and you shouldn't actually move until green comes on. Red and amber together simply means get ready to go. If you're about to enter an entrance, which means you've got to go over the pavement, make sure you're ready to stop before you go over that pavement. You may need to give way to pedestrians. And if you slow down early, if you do need to wait for the pedestrians, well, you can stop gently without taking the car behind you by surprise, making it safer. The intention is not to annoy the driver of the vehicle behind. The intention is to make the situation safe. The driver behind you may be wanting you to go faster, and in you going slower to try and make the situation safer, you're slowing down earlier and you're slowing down to a lower rate. That may cause the driver behind to get frustrated, but that's something you need to accept. If you are a driver who tailgates people and think, I'm sure this car is going slower than they would usually go, maybe it's just to annoy me, maybe it's because you're following closely and they're essentially babysitting you. They're making sure they don't have to brake hard because you're too close to them. Follow back a little bit further and you may be surprised. Maybe they'll go faster. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking for car insurance, check out the links to Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself on somebody else's car, then Collingwood are there for you because you can do so without affecting the owner's policy. And that takes away a big stress from the owner of that car that you're using to practice driving in. Via the link, there's up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card. If you want to insure your own car, I recommend checking out the link to confused.com because you fill out one quote form and get loads of quotes back from many insurers to compare who's cheapest. It's quick and easy. It's the one I use. Also, you can change your car on that quote as many times as you like without having to do the whole quote again. So it's a quick way to compare how much it costs to insure different cars. Using the links doesn't cost you anything, but it does support the channel. So thank you very much. Subscribe to get my future videos, and until the next one, cheerio.